Who is the New Year's Eve Stalker? It's an urban legend that has been heard for many, many years in many towns. The New Year's Eve Stalker looks for someone who doesn't have anyone special in their life, but finds someone the night of New Year's Eve. If something happens, that negatively impacts the meetup, and it leads to that person not having anyone to kiss at midnight. The New Year's Eve Stalker is awakened. When the New Year's Eve Stalker finds out you don't have anybody, it smells you out, gets a scent of you, searches for you, like an animal. Once it finds you, it can stalk you relentlessly until it has you. It knows that you won't be missed, and your soul will be there for the taking for its collection. So don't be caught partying on New Year's Eve without a special someone in your life. It's just too bad that Jenna didn't know about the New Year's Eve Stalker story before it was too late. So it was New Year's Eve. Jenna is attending a rooftop party in downtown San Diego. The party overlooks the Padres Stadium and has a pool right in the middle of the hangout area with couches all around it. It is a very beautiful location, only reserved for the richest, most popular elite in San Diego. Jenna is there with her friend Kristen. They are perfectly content hanging out together as friends and not pursuing anybody else for the rest of the night. They have their first glass of champagne, and they're feeling pretty good. Their favorite song comes on, and they get on the dance floor and let loose a little bit. They are having such a good time. They have their second drink, and they are really starting to feel good. What a great party. By the time they get their third drink, they're starting to feel a little dizzy and energetic. They are having the time of their lives dancing with random guys they don't care about. Then they both start dancing with two guys that are hitting their nerves. They are both real estate guys and very good looking. After being out on the dance floor for a while, they all sit down on the couches by the pool, all dressed up in New Year's suits and dresses. Jenna and Kristen introduce themselves more formally to Dan and Mark. They all discuss the great time they're having, and there seems to be a definite compatibility with Jenna and Dan, and Mark and Kristen respectively. The two couples are a great match. This seems so perfect. Jenna had not been dating for a long time after a 4-year relationship ended sadly in arguments and despair. Jenna had really loved her fiancé, but she was left for a younger woman. Not that she was that old. She was 26, but there's something about guys wanting stupid younger girls to control that drove Jenna crazy. She had a good job as a real estate lender and was making enough money that could provide for a whole family on her own, but she just couldn't get the one. She felt like things were looking good tonight. Dan had a master's degree in business and was a top real estate agent in San Diego County. He was fun to hang out with and had a great smile. How did this catch avoid her radar before this night, as they both were in similar businesses? Jenna was becoming infatuated with Dan, first of all because of what he could be to her, and because he was just so much fun. On the other hand, Mark and Kristen were getting along swimmingly as well. Kristen was a career woman who bought into the full-blown feminism from her mother and decided she did not want a man telling her what to do. But as time had gone on, she had grown apart from her mother and decided to live her own life. And now, sitting across from her on the couch was Mark, who had all the boxes checked that she desired. He was smart, disciplined, and rich. What can I say? Kristen liked money and saw Mark as a very safe bet. The clock struck 11, and they all had another glass of champagne. Cheers, they all said to each other as they drank the glass. The DJ stops playing music and starts talking on the microphone. Hey, attention everybody. It's 11 o'clock. Make sure you find your mate for the evening, because at midnight you need to have somebody to kiss. They say around here, if you don't have someone to kiss at midnight, the New Year's Eve Stalker will come after you. We all looked at each other on the couch like, what did he just say? Around San Diego, we heard a story from the 80s about a guy so desperate for affection of a Mission Valley girl after he met her on New Year's evening and into New Year's Eve night. They were a match made in heaven. However, when alcohol's involved, people forget what's important to them. When the clock struck midnight, he caught her with another man at a club dance floor at the Gas Lamp District. The man was so angry, he murdered both of them with a knife and took his own life right there on the dance floor. Jealousy can cause terrible things to happen. After hearing the DJ joke about the New Year's Eve Stalker, we all looked at each other and laughed. I believe we're good. We have a good group of people here that are really into each other. I don't think there's any worry for me and Kristen. Then 11:15 rolls around. We're all still joking and laughing when Dan looks at Mark and gives him a wink and a nod. He looks at us and says, "Hey, we'd love to stay, but we gotta get going." What? Jenna and Kristen look extremely surprised. What do you mean you have to go? Dan says Mark and him have to go meet their wives, but it was nice talking to you both. Dan and Mark give Jenna and Kristen respective hugs when they leave. Kristen and Jenna look at each other completely shocked about what they had just witnessed. What kind of man pretends to be so awesome to a single lady and leaves her there with 45 minutes left on the clock? So we sit there for about 15 minutes, stewing over what had just happened. So we go to the dance floor while a couple songs play. We're out there for about 10 minutes. Then we see someone in the back of the crowd that doesn't look like anybody else. He's dressed in a tuxedo with an 80s hairdo, like feathered hair. It's really sticking out amongst the people in the crowd. Nobody else seems to notice him, which is odd. Jenna points him out to Kristen, and they both agree this guy is kind of weird, and he's staring directly at them. So they decide to leave the rooftop. They take the elevator down from the 30th floor to the 1st. As they do, they see the feathered-haired man coming towards the elevator. He disappears as the elevator closes. They both look at each other relieved. When they get to the 1st floor and start walking through the double doors through the front entrance of the lobby, they turn around to see the feathered-haired man once again walking towards them. They start to pick up their pace and get into the Uber that they requested in haste. As they get in, they see the feathered hair man in the lobby coming towards the double doors. They tell the Uber driver to start driving immediately. They got away. On the ride home, Jenna and Kristen are feeling much better. Jenna tries to make small talk with the Uber driver and not getting anywhere. He just doesn't want to talk, so Jenna asks him to play some music. He plays an old 80s station. That's fine, I guess. It's killing the awkward silence. Most people say that 80s music is one of the most calming musics out of all the generations. You can play it in any office, and people mostly accept it. They pull up to Jenna's house and thank the Uber driver for getting them out of a sticky situation. He says no problem and drives away. Kristen and Jenna are still able to see the ball drop on TV, just in time. What a sad New Year's this was, but at least we're safe, because that guy was really creeping us out. After the ball drop, Jenna gets in the shower and is getting ready for bed. When she gets out of the shower, she notices that the TV is playing pretty loud still. She goes to turn it down and sees a puddle of red liquid on the floor. It looks like a pool of blood is in the middle of the living room. She looked to see where the blood is coming from, and Kristen is laying in the corner of the room, dead. She's in a robe and completely vulnerable. She looks around to see if anybody's in the room, but doesn't see anybody. Could it be the feathered hair guy from the hotel? She runs to her room, locks the doors, calls the police, and puts some clothes on. As she's staring in the mirror when she's putting on her clothes, she sees a figure behind her with feathered hair. It's him. She turns around to see him face to face. He says to her, "You are alone on New Year's Eve. You're not supposed to be alone. You're supposed to be with somebody who cares about you. Sadly, no one will miss you. It is too late for us. The New Year's Eve Stalker was real, and he had taken our souls. This New Year's Eve, make sure you have somebody who's loyal, who has integrity, and who you can trust. And make sure you get that kiss at midnight.